Kia ora, watch me whip, watch me nene. Okay.
Welcome to Future Focus. Voices leading change.
Kia ora everyone. We are back with Rose and Renee. Morena korua. Oh, yeah, morena.
Yeah.
We're just going to have a yarn today because we've obviously in the new year, plenty of enrolments coming through, which is always fantastic. Lots of new whānau and things. And I just want to make sure we get some clarity around what to expect, especially for those that are new parents in those spaces. So let's start with new whānau. In terms of going through a process, that obviously they're enrolled, they've made a commitment to us about us looking after their most precious taonga. What is it we should, as a whānau, what should they expect to see in those first couple of weeks when settling their child? Rose, why don't you start?
So I think a big focus for me at the batch with any new family is creating those relationships so they know not only who the teachers are going to be in that space, but the wider support stuff that we have too. Like me, I'll see them every morning, every afternoon when they pick up their kids. So building that relationship is really important for me, and then helping them see the whole centre as well, like understanding that yes, they're starting maybe a 6-month-old baby, but hopefully they'll still be with us when they're 4. So fostering that overall belonging and understanding of everyone.
Of a timeline.
Yeah.
And you're right about the kind of ancillary staff, like Lorna's a big part.
Yes.
Just like Chantel, there's they're quite important parts.
And whenever
to the
you
system.
guys are in the centre, or like Sammy or any of our other, like Lauren, if she's there working with me, I make sure that I introduce them as well, because they are just knowing someone's name and feeling like there's not this, I don't know, like a random person you've never seen before. When you're going to drop off your baby is really comforting.
Well, I sat down with a parent with a new child the other day, and we talked through, this was at the batch, talked through their process, what they've been through. They've got 2 children with us and that, and it was nice to hear the experience, but also what they are hoping for. I think as a parent, it is quite reassuring when you have people on the subsidiary providing support and guidance around what this might look like too. And in that, Renee, in your space, I know it's pretty similar, but is there anything that you'd talk to in that space?
Yeah, so we've had quite a large amount of enrolments from January the 8th up until now. The majority of our whānau are Punjabi, so we have two teachers that speak Punjabi, one that speaks Hindi, so it's quite a similar language which they can understand, but it's really having a great resource there for those whānau because they've just come in from India, or they don't have the English to be able to support their child in there. And so it's actually been quite calming for them. And just being realistic too, like a transition process for each child's going to be very different. So we have the set amount, which is the minimum amount of what we think is necessary for a child. However, that is very individualised per child and what their needs are, what their parents' needs are, and we're very flexible around that. It could take, some children can be like 1 day. We do say at least 3, but sometimes they're quite comfortable in those environments, whereas other children can take, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, especially if, what we've found children that, Punjabi is their first language. It's just a whole new ball game for them,
And I think it's important to talk to that. We're saying 3 minimum. We're trying to win the maths in terms of raising the probability of their success, of the child's success, but also, especially if you're a first-time mum or dad, and it's your brand new child or baby going into a space where
it's huge.
And also the settling in of, now I actually have to go back to work. Everyone knows coming back from holiday, you're like, you do feel a little bit of a lull. That dopamine certainly disappears and you're like, I've got to go back to work. Actually, it happens at quite in that space for lots of brand new parents. I remember this myself. It really is hard hitting. It's a realisation that, oh my gosh, I'm now dropping off my child into the care.
Most of the time, parents, if they had the choice, money wasn't wasn't
a barrier.
They would be at home. So we want to make an environment that we're supporting them as much as their children as well.
That's one of the first kind of conversations I have with families too, is I try to figure out when mum is actually starting work, or dad, when they're actually starting work. And I suggest that having your child's first full day and your first full day on the same day is really hard. So
Definitely.
So I've had families that have done it so that their child starts the week before, and that whole week is just purely around being available if things need to be tweaked or adjusted, and mum can just focus, or dad, parents can just focus on settling their baby with us.
So that's just that
And
level
then
of
that's done, and then the next step is them settling into work.
Yeah, because it's a big thing.
It's actually. So, just to reiterate that, what we're saying is, if you're starting on the week of the 20th, bring your child in on the week of the 13th, so that you if anything happens, or if you're feeling uneasy, even if you can go a couple of weeks, I guess, but if you're feeling uneasy, you're feeling like, maybe this is the wrong choice, maybe the centre's not right for me, all those things, that you have that flexibility, because if you're at work and it can, it's actually a very good suggestion.
And I find that it gives parents the time to get into the routine of what the morning's going to look like, what I need to pack, how am I going to time breakfast, drop off, all that kind of stuff, what's going to make our morning successful, but without the urgency of, oh no, now I'm late for work. It's like a...
And it lets them, I think it lets the parents' mind digest what's going on without... I know some people, I just want to be busy, but actually it lets you... Because you know what? We've got to say it, sometimes you need to grieve a wee bit. I know from my own experience... It was very hard for me to drop Whānau. I mean, she was, she's nearly 10, she's 9. But, you have to grieve that actually you can't look after them.
I struggled, and I took my children with me. They were in the room beside me. I was teaching, and it was hard because you'd been with that baby 24 hours from the moment they were born. Literally, they're sleeping in the same room as you for majority of that time. You're waking with them in the night. You're they have been a part of you.
And I think that's why it's really important for us to create that partnership between the kaiako. We do whānau support at Livingston Drive. We have primary caregiving, so it's really that partnership between home and from parents to their caregiver.
And I think that's a huge thing that week allows as well, is the communication. So they can see how often they're going to get the updates of how their baby's gone with drop off, how their nap's going. They see how that's going to look, and that helps give that week to get used to those routines as well, around the communication and that understanding of what the days are looking like and how your baby is when you pick them up, and all that kind of stuff is so important.
Some of the deliberate actions we take in terms of just communication with whānau, what are some of the things you guys are doing?
My team and I recently created a new booklet for families that we use to communicate around what's been happening through the day. And the reason why we did that was because often there's only one parent picking up, but the other one would like to know
what's going on,
the details of the day. And it's hard for the parent that's collecting them to get all the same details that the other parent might look
Chinese
for.
whispers.
Yeah. So we've got a book that we use. It's a two-way thing, so parents run it in the morning and then we run it at the end of the day. In Storypark.
Storypark's a pivotal tool. Our Storyparks will be set up for that child before they start their first leaving visit. So
and what does it look like in a Storypark for them? So we're talking about notes or...
just a parent communication, notes,
photos.
Lots of photos, videos.
Yeah.
Just little happy, just showing
snapshots of the day. Yeah.
So they don't feel like they're missing out too much, and just being realistic about how it's going. We obviously ring parents. It's just that whole two-way street of communication.
Also, our social media is a huge thing for new families too. So I've spoken with lots of our new families that were not entirely sure about whether they wanted their child to be on our social media. But then when you explain it and show them what they see daily, it's just a good way for them to just see real timely updates of what's going on in the rooms.
And we're just trying to, and I think to that, we've always talked to the fact that what we're trying to do is tell stories of the great things that our teaching teams are doing, and going back to your Valentine's reel that Sam's made, we're just we're also showing the whanaungatanga, that feeling of being part of something. It's important, and also the likelihood of a parent opening social media on their break is very, very
that's
high.
That's the first thing that one of the dads said. He was just like, "Oh yeah, I'm always on Instagram. May as well be seeing my baby."
Yeah, and that's the thing. We're just trying to play the game of odds of creating an opportunity for attention for that parent to see their child, and it is a nice unobtrusive way of them seeing their children in action. But and going back further, just what you're talking about with the notes and things. It's nice to see a record. We're talking about one child who's on another reel of yours, who started with us at 4 months, and now she's in there making some kai for her baby sister. You know, we actually have so much historical evidence of this child. It's it's actually very, and remember, it'll be there forever.
Yeah, it's a journey that has been documented in so many different ways.
Yeah, and it's such a powerful way. The last thing we want to touch on, and it's something new we've tried this year, which is the survey. So a survey is coming out a couple of weeks post-enrollment, post-experience, and I think every company should be doing this, and we should have been doing it a long time ago, but it's just really about, hey, how are you feeling? You know, has it gone really well? Is it smooth or is it a bit clunky? What can we learn? And we haven't had many responses. We've had a lot of enrolments, but not many responses. And I think you've only had a couple, but they are quite powerful.
Yeah. I think it's a nice way to celebrate what we're doing really well. Like, the ones that we've received have been really positive. So it's nice for the team to get that feedback from parents.
Yes.
And know that what we are doing is helping and working and achieving what we want to achieve. But it's also a good way to learn.
Yeah, that's the big one, right? We're trying to build a culture of wanting, of a desire to learn. The only way we can get better is from our mistakes and from where people are feeling.
And feedback.
And feedback.
Yeah. And I think especially when we've had quite a few enrolments at both of our centres, so just making sure that the process fits everybody.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because every whānau is so different. So maybe what we are doing with the majority actually isn't.
There might be a different way of doing that
Correct.
might fit better for other
We can be more
whānau.
responsive.
But
we don't know what we don't know.
Correct. Yeah. Okay. Well, I think we'll wrap it up. I mean, it is important to us. We're privileged in the position of being able to work with children, with other people's children. It's a very privileged position. We know that we do things really well, but we also are very open to feedback. And actually, again, I always say this, there are other centres doing great jobs with people. We know that. We know that the New Shoots and Blue Cottages and Blooms and things, they're doing great jobs in representing the sector. We're just trying to help parents know and understand what they should probably be feeling when going through that process, especially those new parents. So, Rose and Renee, we really appreciate your energies out there, and we will catch you later. Watch me, Nene.